Hello viewers, before we start this video I'd like to mention if you'd like to support this channel, please search out my original music on all major music platforms. Search Scott Knox and you'll find the first 3 singles off my upcoming album, On Even Ground. Like and share if you do. It's been a dream of mine to one day play, write, and record with the likes of John Party, Justin Moore, and with your help, dreams like that can become a reality. Thank you so much. So today's video we're going to do an overview of our purchase of this Traeger Fremont that we got at Costco. So the first thing is actually this assembly guide. The parts are numbered pretty well in the packaging. And the first big thing that I wanted to mention in this process was when you flip over the unit to put the legs in, they have a letter coding on them. So, you know, D will go to D and A will go to A, or whatever the letter is that they used. I can't remember. But when we tighten this hardware up, you can tell that the leg itself wants to kind of keep compressing. And so we didn't want to go too tight because it felt like that's what was happening. I mean, they're just legs holding them on. We didn't go extremely tight. And so that's something to be careful of. I would recommend when you're doing that, they don't actually bottom out on anything. They just kind of keep squeezing the legs together. So you'll want to figure out where enough is enough on that one. Some of this stuff actually has oil on it, especially this pan right here. And some people said that that burns off during the initial first start, the seasoning. But I took a paper towel and wiped it off per the recommendation of some others online. And the other places that had oil was the firing pot, which I'll show you outside when we show you the startup. Just because I didn't want the oil, the smoke from the oil, you know, it just seems like it'd be cleaner to wipe it off before starting it up. Nothing else here really strikes me as a problem. Did you remember anything else in this? Okay. Yeah, it was all pretty straightforward. Of the assembly. We had 2 people. Hopefully this goes well for you, because what I'm going to move to next is the owner's manual, and it has good information in it. I feel personally that some of it is hard to locate, especially when you're trying to just locate certain things. A lot of this warning section has got some good information in it, but when you're looking for it, the heading's not really directing you to it, and maybe you'll understand what I mean if you've already read through this or going to. Right here, the table of contents. We're going to go over all, or actually we're not going to go over all of these. We're going to go over the seasoning the grill, the startup, and the use that we've done so far. We've had 1 successful cook on it. The probe, clean out. Mainly the point of this video is to show you how to start it and to get using it. What we're going to start with here is the seasoning part. I'm going to go outside. We'll show you where we fill stuff, the pellets, and then how to get the initial seasoning going for this grill. And I'll explain that outside. So let's head out there. Here we are at the grill. We've removed the bottom stuff down here, all the insides, the grill, the drip pan, and now we can see down in here the firing pot. This is where I wiped out some, I believe, some extra oil that was there. So to the initial startup, seasoning your grill, what we're going to do here is this procedure brings the pellets into the firing pot where it's going to burn and create the smoke and heat. So what you do is we filled up about, it says in the manual, to the grate, and that's where we started. One thing I just remembered we should mention is that they recommend 18 inches off the wall and away from, you'll read the manual so that way you know what their recommendations are for where to use this grill. First thing we're going to do is we've plugged it in, and we're going to treat this as though this is brand new. So first thing we're going to do is reach back here. Off is the 0, the I, or the straight line, is the on. Okay, we're going to get this screen right now. Okay, it's flashing. So, to start the prime cycle, to try to get the auger to move the pellets into the firing pot, we're going to hold the up button and the ignite. Now it says free. Now come here, Deanne, and we'll show them. We already have pellets going in. Now you got to be careful because there's a firing rod down there. I'm going to hit that off. As soon as you see those pellets come in, you're going to hit the up button and the ignite once more. Now we're in standby mode. Now we should be ready to start the seasoning portion of this. Okay, so what I will do is put this back on. That's about right. Am I missing anything? Being this is, we're pretending this is the startup, we're going to put this in as well. Okay, so we're going to close that. Now what we're going to do is push this up button. It's in standby mode. We're going to go to the 450 degree. If you hold it, it'll go into fast mode. Okay, and now ignite. Now it started. And so this says pressing this runs at 450 for 30 minutes and with the door closed to complete season processing. I don't believe it shuts off on its own. And so what will happen is, because this isn't in any kind of seasoning mode, the grill is just on now. So you're going to want to jump right over to the shutdown cycle. And this is one of the things that can be hard to find. It was for us initially. Like Deanne mentioned, this is right in the middle of the manual center page. When you flip it open, that's where the shutdown cycle is. And it's important to know where this is, because when you're kind of scrambling to figure out how to shut it off, do I just unplug it? It can get confusing. Well, right here, this will tell you when it's finished cooking. The control for when it's in control mode, which we'll show you later, the automatic shutdown happens. But in this case, in manual mode, we're going to want to hold that center button for 3 seconds, and then it'll display that it's shutting off, cool down, and then I've noticed this the last the 2 times I used it, it shuts down. We haven't had any problems with it, so we'll show you that. One thing I will note is the temperatures that you're seeing down here in this display. Even though we set it for 450, it overshoots by a little bit. We've looked it up, and that's normal for it to go above or below and fluctuate. As long as you don't have a runaway grill where you're seeing temperatures, I would assume, way beyond what your setting is and what your desired amount is. I mean, if it's obvious that it's completely climbing over those, I'd recommend going right to those emergency shutdowns, which we'll show you again in this manual when we review at the end. So for right now, it's not even, I can smell the smoke now. It's starting to fire up. And we'll see this climb here in a little bit. What I'll do is take this opportunity to discuss, to touch on a topic here, and that is this smoke cycle. Now, the older units that we've used, very little, had an actual smoke cycle. Whether or not this does or not, I'm unsure. And so that'd be something nice. If you do know that, put it in the comments. We're going to leave the comments, open for people to discuss um, all the different things that they know about this. And so. Smoke. So now we see we got 70, we're starting to climb. It's going through its smoke. You'll see this in the beginning and it typically burns off to nothing pretty quick once the heat starts taking over. Go ahead and show that again now. So we're about, almost halfway there. It's still climbing. It's been about, 3 or 4 minutes. As you can see, the smoke has disappeared now from the stack. The initial smoke happened in startup. So real quick, we'll show you this probe that they send you with. I'm going to show you the routing for it. So first thing, go into here and we'll fish it through. This, you'll probably do this before you start. And then in the meat, the thickest part, it says in the manual, the thickest part of the meat, at least 2 inches in. And what that'll give you, we're going to wait until it shows temperature, until the temp is ready there. But you'll be able to see the temperature of this probe. Actually, I could just show you right now. If you so the probe, I double click the center and that brings up these options. The probe temp, I believe that is the temperature we're at right now, and this is the timer, the time. So if you wanted to, let's say, I don't know, hopefully this isn't going to be a problem here, so I don't want this on time. Let's go 1 more 0. Okay. That's how you would set the timer. Obviously, you got the idea of how that worked. Hopefully. So once again, we'll go back to that probe. Okay, that's what that stands for. So I'm going to unplug that now. Okay, so now we are getting close to the desired temperature, and from that point we will show you the shutdown process. Okay, so we've reached 450. If you're doing your seasoning by now, you'll probably notice what I noticed, which is a lot of, I smell like a burning paint, or kind of just like this, it doesn't smell like a normal barbecue, it just smells like it's burning the new off. See right now it's climbing over. That was typical. I've read it's typical. So if you were on the startup, the seasoning, and this has been 30 minutes at that temperature, we're going to go into the shutdown cycle right now. Okay, so we're going to hold that center button for 3 seconds and watch what happens. That seemed like 2, but now it's flashing off. And now it's got a countdown for its cool down period. Okay, so while this cools down, we'll go back inside and talk just a little bit more about the manual. So that completed the seasoning process. Now the regular startup is going to be the same. Just you're not going to go through the pre-cycle with hitting the up button and the ignite button. So what I mean by that is if you go out to a cold grill that's turned off, switches off in the back, you'll switch it on and you will hit the up button right here to the desired amount. Let's say it's 425, and then you'll hit ignite, and that will start the grill, and you'll watch the temperature rise. One thing we didn't touch on, there is a keep warm mode right here. I believe that's where you can set that as well. Again, if if you're really good at this system too, and there's something I said that's wrong or something you can add to, please put it in the comments as well to help anyone who's looking to learn on this unit, those things. So just kind of as a final discussion here in this manual, taken from this, I really wish this table of contents was a little more little bit more streamlined for startup, shutdown, emergencies, for fires, and all that. Because let me go back to it here. In this shutdown cycle, we've gone over that turning off the unit. That could have been it. I feel like the shutdown cycle could have been its own, folder in the table of contents, and a chapter, excuse me, of. And also for this fire, in case of fire, I know we found it in different spots in here, which is fine. If it's nice to have more of than less of, but it does talk about if you have an obvious problem with this unit and something bad is happening, to not unplug it from the wall, and just to turn off the switch in the back, which is to the 0 or the O, and to not try to put water on it. Don't try to smother it. Keep the lid shut. Don't leave the lid open. What they're wanting to do is obviously starve the fire that's in there of oxygen, and they say it should burn itself out. If it's not, and it's a big problem, they're recommending call the fire department. So I, as always, recommend reading through the manual completely. This concludes today's video on the basic use and startup of the Traeger Fremont from Costco. So long.